Welcome to the Bro-RantZ podcast. A podcast is about men's health, whether it be with fitness, mental, financial, relationship tips. We're talking about grooming tips, anything you can think of. When it has to do with bettering a man, you'll find it on this podcast. Okay, we have a guest in the studio today, RICARDO Peters. He actually was featured on our episode 34, titled Show Me the Money, where he talked about building financial freedom as well as breaking the financial curse with financial literacy. And you guys can tune into that episode if you want to follow those tips. But for now, let's enjoy the show. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools to allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. So what's up, Rick? Appreciate you taking the time to be on the podcast, brother.
Sure, not a problem, man. Like I told you, last time we did that show, when I came to town, I would stop in. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. And I was going to say, just for the audience listening, that you really have it's good to have you on, because I know you have actually been an insight, giving me tips behind the scenes that people don't realize on how to direct the show, give me stuff to make it better. So it's actually good to finally have you here, which took like over 2 years, but it's actually good to have you here in person. We've had you on before, like I said. But anyway,
wow, has it really been like 2 years?
Yeah, man, it's been two years since the show's been going. So. Oh. Quite a feat. I know there's been some changes.
That's awesome.
There's been a lot of changes to the show, but
that's just life, bro. There's always change, and it's how you adapt and how you move forward with that change. You could either stay in it and stay still and stagnant, or you can grow and move on and evolve. And you should always continue to evolve. So.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's how you react to it. If you're knocked down, how do you react? How do you react? Do you stay down or get up? And with this, I had a lot of adversity with this podcast, and the changes that have taken place. But enough about me, man. How long, for those who don't know, even myself, how long have you been in finance?
I'd say probably like 16, 17 years when you think about it. Started with SunTrust, and then was with JP Morgan for like 10 years, and then independent now for 4 years now? I mean, 6 years, no, 4 years now independent. So yeah.
So, and the thing about it is, finance, to the outside word, finance is like boring, right? Because people think about finances, and I think it's like the glitz and glamour, but with finance, you're really learning how money works and how to make money work for you. So, I don't know what actually drew you to finance, because like I said, it sounds boring from the outside.
Well, it's not, there's like you said, glitz and glamour. I mean, when it comes to finance, I mean, it's not too entertaining. I mean, there's a lot of, I'd say it's very, meticulous when it comes to certain things that you have to, depending on investment instruments and vehicles that people use, or it could be very confusing when it comes to the market. And I think that's what kind of drew me to finance, is that it was very vague. And when it came to investments, you'd see it on television, Apple's down 2% and the Dow, and you're looking at like, what does that matter? You couldn't understand it. So I had the tendency to run to things I don't understand and dissect it. And I figured, what better thing than investments, and understanding, the financial industry. The one that we typically understand is loans, because I feel like a lot of us take out loans. And even to that, the best of our knowledge, we don't really grasp the concept. You take out a credit card, you borrow the money, and then you're like, oh, I'll pay it back. But then after all of a sudden that credit card, carries this bill and you're paying huge amounts of interest, 20% or something like that for, $5,000 credit card statement that start off with just $100 or something. So, yeah.
So when you talk about that, so were you speaking on loans, right? So you're saying we don't understand as far as we don't understand their spending habits. We don't. Is that what you're saying? Like
no,
not understanding the loan
what I
parts.
mean, like for example, I don't know if you remember, but I know when I first got my credit card or what have you. I mean, or not even. Let's take it even more. Let's simplify it. Let's even go bank account. I remember using my bank and then going on a vacation for the first time, getting a bank account. I remember going to Key West and using my card. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, it's declined. I'm like, what's going on? And I look at my account, it's like $500 negative or something like that, I remember. And I'm like, what the heck? And they're like, oh, yeah, we kept allowing you to use it. But I'm like, well, money came in first and this, that, and the third. And then back then, before the whole Obama era, a bank could choose which transaction they were going to pay first.
Oh, wow.
So let's say, for example, you went to the store, you bought M&Ms at the gas, and then you got gas, and then you got, let's see, pack of gum, cigarette, and then you paid your mortgage. So a bank would be like, oh, well, we knew that the mortgage was more important, so we paid your mortgage first, even though the mortgage was the last thing you paid. Mm-hmm. So it will pay the mortgage first, and then all those other transactions would just be charged $35. Mm-hmm. So a pack of gum that was $1.25 was being charged, $36.25.
Wow, yeah.
So it was criminal, and there was no limit to it. They could do up to 9 a day and something like that and carry over.
Wow.
So with the Obama era, it had to be first come, first serve, the first transactions, and you were limited to 3 overdraws per day, and you had the choice that's why when you went to a bank, they started all of a sudden change it where you had to sign saying, I do not want my credit card to overdraft, so that it didn't pay that $34 fee, it would decline. Gotcha. You had the choice because customers didn't. Banks were making that decision, and banks were making
buku money, man,
off of fees.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars quarterly over fees.
Wow.
So once that went bust, the banks had to change up their thing. That's why they're kind of angry in the Obama era. And so when people think Obama didn't do anything, he did, because that saved a lot of people a lot of money. A lot of low income families.
Wow. And essentially it's crazy because you have the same low class family, middle class, working class is now the terminology is the ones that bailed out the banks in the Obama era when Obama was elected. So had to save their asses. And then they came back and still were bailed out as far as the CEOs had the nice pensions, or not pensions, what do you call it? The nice severance packages when they left the bank, the CEOs that left the banks and whatever. Had a nice.
Yeah, well, a lot of them didn't even leave the bank. I mean, a lot of them were, when the bailout money came, I mean, they were still paid their compensation, whether in the form of stock options with the banks that they were. I mean, they got, millions of dollars, and they were supposed to be paying their employees or what have you. And, the majority of that money went to the CEOs instead of like the employees got, a theater of that, a piece of that.
So speaking of that, so would you say, like, I know there's a bunch of stuff, like, I know growing up we had things that embarrassed us. So was it the embarrassment of being declined in the keys that drew you like, yo, I got to get a spin on this. I got to get a hold of my finances because I don't want to be in a position where there's no money. Like, I don't know how much money I have and I'm only living every day out of my budget. Was it something like being something like that changed your perspective and thought, that I need to change this, or I'm going to be financially crippled or broke or whatever for the rest of my life?
The thing about it, I think, so what happened, I was just leaving Sprint, and there was...
Okay, so when you say Sprint, you worked for Sprint. Let them know.
Yeah, I was just leaving Sprint, yeah. And...
Because these dudes probably thinking this dude was just left the Sprint store. So let's just, for clarity...
I was employed.
There we go. For clarity.
With Sprint for like 5 years, and then I was just leaving Sprint, and I do remember it was who was it? Hershey. I think it was Hershey. Richard's friend.
Okay, let's go say
Hershey. Hershey, yeah.
Okay.
Older brother, Richard's friend, who was like, "Hey, you should get a job at the bank."
Yeah.
And my thing, I was like, I don't know anything about banking, man. He's like, it's sales. And I was my whole life I've been doing sales, and I was like, no, it's not. I mean, to be a banker, I'm like, it has to be like more than that. You have to have, an education and when it comes to banking, finance, what have you, some kind of degree. And sure enough, I went interviewed with that bank got in there, and it was sales. And I was like so disappointed because back, in the day, you would think banking was a banker was more prestigious as a person would come to them for budgeting their accounts, for loans and for advice and for knowledge, and it just was dumbed down. It just became product, like sales. Just providing somebody a product to get commission or something like that. And I was blown away by it. And I remember thinking, I don't want to do this position. There's no growth in it. And then found out there was a financial advisor position. I was like, oh, what's financial advisor? And I found out it was about investments. You got to get a Series 7 license and Series 63 and 66, depending on what licenses or who you go through. And that kind of intrigued me because I'm like, I've always wondered about the market. And my goal was like, you know what? I'm going to go and understand this thing fully and then take this knowledge, because I feel like that's like the secret, secret of the NIM. Like, I'm going to get the secret, and then I'm going to like share it with everybody because it's so hushed, and that started me on my goal to become a financial advisor and understand the market.
Yeah, because I know the Series 6, Series 7. For the audience that doesn't know, let them know what those licenses are. They actually allow you to deal with the market, right?
They allow you to,
the annuities.
They allow you to sell. I mean, to be a registered agent, registered representative when it comes to selling annuities, mutual funds, stocks, and to be also paid. Series 7 allows you, to be able to sell all classes of stocks and even venture capital companies that are private equities that aren't on the market. And 66 and 63 allow you to, these ones allow you to be an advisor. So you're getting paid for the money you manage. So, yeah. So these licenses are, it's basically studying for these licenses is almost like getting a degree in like economics and,
yeah.
That's
what I say, because you gotta, because you have to like take the state exam in order to be able to carry that license, which is a hard.
There's state and there's the federal, because remember the
I forgot
Security Exchange.
Security Exchange. There we go. The Security Exchange. Yeah.
So there's state level where you're doing certain things on a state level with the insurance, or when you're dealing with like annuities, each annuity, depending on the state you always have to be licensed in that state. So then you have the state license for that. But the investment, when you're dealing with the Series 6, 63, and Series 7, it's Fed, it's SEC.
Yeah.
Security Exchange.
So for those, like, all right, so for instance, if I'm a dude, like, just for people that out there, if I'm a young man or woman, mind you, and they're thinking of okay, a career in financing, right? So let's say you went through the back door. You didn't have to go. I'll say the banking is going through banking could be the back door from the floor up, maybe, to get into the financial advisors and stuff like that. So it's a position where you're not going through the traditional university, getting your CPA or accounting degree or whatever the case may be, getting your education that way. What would you tell someone, because you've dealt with multi-million-dollar accounts and building a portfolio? See, people probably don't realize that you started from banking and then you went to financial advisor, and then tell them how you started dealing with private clients, how this could be an avenue to actually be in something that provides them a financial freedom. Like, how can one take their career from where you did, from, like I said, from the floor up, from the mailroom, if you would?
Well, my thing is financial freedom. So, and what does that look like? So, I take it like in any career. So, I mean, my thing is that, what is that saying? A goal without a plan is just a dream. So, wherever you're going, wherever you're in right now, whatever job, whatever field, make sure you have a goal. And that's like, okay, in 2 years I want to be at this position, and then I want to be making this. Set goals, little goals. I mean, make a plan and make a plan to get to that goal. And it doesn't have to be in finance, but hey, look up some I don't know, could be workshops, could be training, could be books that have financial education regarding, financial advising or financial investing for dummies, but also seek professionalism, like a professional help through a financial advisor, because before you go and, try to take on that by yourself, and start small. A lot of people get that itch that, oh, I'm going to invest and I'm going to make a lot of money, so I'm going to put all my money in it, because if I put that's when people come good at math. They're like, oh, if I put all this and it makes this, I could make $1 million, and they don't realize it's the other way around too. You put all of it and it's gone. It goes the other way around. It goes all the way down. You lost all that money, because some people don't have the wherewithal and the discipline to wait, be patient. So my thing, you don't have to. I say in any career, and you've decided what you want, first take that time and say, what do I want out of this? Am I passionate about it? Whatever career it is you're pursuing, and then seek the advice from your mentors and how to get there. That mentors at your job, hey, I want to, if you're looking to be a district manager or whatever it is, ask them what's the goal, how to get there. So that way you're not putting a plan together that doesn't make any sense. You're doing it through the proper hierarchy and protocol of that company. And then make sure that you're also communicating with your superior. Hey, you told me to do this. I'm following up with you. And make sure you have it in writing. Hey, I'm following up with you from our conversation. You said I needed to meet these goals. I have. What's next?
Gotcha.
And you're always, because a lot of people think, you ever hear that saying, closed mouth doesn't get fed? Well, people don't realize that a lot of people don't get raises, promotions, because they think that their boss knows what they're doing, but they'll have somebody who's doing less and they'll be like, oh, why did you get a raise? Or why did he ask for a raise? Why didn't you give me a raise? Because we thought you were satisfied. Why would we pay you if you're comfortable where you are? How can he get the promotion? He asked. He said he showed us what he's doing, but I've done more than him. He asked. We didn't know you were doing that, because at the end of the day, unless you're like a top performer or whatever, and you're like the only out of a few people, accountants or whatever whatever field you're in, they don't have they have their own things that they're got to worry about, a matrix that they have to make and the quotas they have to get to. So be vocal, be present, be, ever evolving. Don't be staggered, and always try. My thing is I always want to learn something every day. It could be the simplest thing. Always be eager to learn. Be a sponge.
Yeah, I think that's pretty wise, real wise words to try to learn. The moment you stop learning is you've stunted your growth. And if the moment you think you know everything, like our mom says, it's over. There's nothing to teach you because you know it all, supposedly. Guys, if you're loving what you're hearing right now and you're still tuning in, do me a favor and smash that subscribe button. You know why? Because you don't want to be a wallflower. If you're enjoying this content that I'm bringing and continuously will bring, then please subscribe, share, let your uncle know, that your aunt, your niece, let anyone you know about the podcast, and let's get us up with more subscriptions. Enjoy the rest of the show. So dealing with the cases you had, the private clients, as well as meeting, I'm sure, numbers, quotas that you had to meet quarterly in order to hit the mark in financing, and as well as normal day life and the shit you got to deal with. I'm sure you mentioned your mental. I know your mental health had to impact your mental health to some degree.
Well, not necessarily. Not when it came to meeting my numbers and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, you remember I've always been in sales since I was like 14 years old. So, and the reason that I was always in sales is because I felt like I was kind of like the captain of my own ship. Like I'm steering my own path, opposed to me working for a job hourly and working my ass off and still getting the same pay, and then waiting for the boss to pick, okay, here's a 10-cent raise or something like that, you know.
Yeah, I remember. Just pause before you answer that. I remember you being like at the movie theaters. No, like this. You'd be at the movie theaters killing this concession stand. I don't know, but I don't know if you made commission back then, but
no, didn't.
Which is crazy. And I remember you being like underage and then clocking your hours. That's something for the child labor laws, but OSHA, right? But I remember you just killing the concession stand because you had this, and I always knew you were really good at sales because you just had this knack to appeal to people, and it's something you're born with. I don't think it can be taught. I think it can be taught to a degree, but some of us don't have that in us. Like I've done insurance and I hate it. You know, I hated talking, like I hated kind of like selling my soul to like being at someone's mercy, like to call me back or return my phone call or answer the phone. So right. You, well, not to get off topic, but you had that like I don't give a fuck type of mentality.
It wasn't,
which is dope.
It wasn't I never had the I don't give a fuck or care mentality. My thing was this. The key to it is I would quickly build rapport with a client or customer, and I would think, for example, if we're going back to movie theaters, I would think when I would hear they were asking me, "Hey, Ricardo, you want to try a concession?" And I was like the king of like usher. I loved being the usher. I had my little nickname, tag on my nickname saying Slick Rick. I was a cool guy, and they're like, "Oh, try a concession." I'm like, I don't mess with the money. I don't mess with the thing. They're like, "Oh, try it," and I would hear them try to upsell, and I would just hear it, and I would think of it like, "Oh, I wouldn't take it either," and I'm like, "What would I take?" And it had to make sense to me. I'm like, you know, they'd be like, "Oh, for if you make it blah blah blah, you can have this," and I'm like, "Well, make it more sense to them." You know, and I would come with the little slogans or things and make sense to each client. I wouldn't stick to them. I was always adapt to the customer based on how they're presented. And I remember customers used to give me, business owners used to give me the cards trying to hire me. Other theaters would try to hire me too.
Wow. Because
of that. But my thing was I always tell people I'm not good at sales. I'm great at customer service. So I think that's what a lot of people
get wrong.
I think that they position and they call it sales, and they should change it to like customized service. You know, customized customer service, because that's why I was always good in any company I went to, because I never sold. I provided customer service. If you're telling me there's a problem and I provide a resolution to you, then we both win. I feel complete and fulfilled that I was able to help you. And there's no way that you, Mr. Customer, could get upset or turn me down when you told me your problem was A, B, and C, and then I gave you, you know, D, E, F, you know, to resolve it, because that's what you said you needed. Because you didn't know what you needed, you just knew there was a problem. So when it comes to like, you know, when you got into insurance, that's the thing about it. Like, you always, I remember you thought of it as, I have to do this or bug this person, instead of let me help this person.
Yeah.
And because they don't know they need it.
And another thing about that, I will say this too, you have to, and here's the thing, you have to believe in what you're selling or love what you're doing. So you got to love the product you're selling, essentially, because if you love it, then you can explain it and you can sell it to someone. Not sell it. You know the product good enough that you know how it can benefit that person. Mm-hmm. So that's also probably why you've been great at sales, and because you're providing that service, you love either where you're at, because you believe in the product you're selling.
The thing, so for example, anything that I was selling, or the product that he gave me, I would make sure that I would take apart that product and understand it to the best of my ability. When I worked at the Chase for the credit card side, there were people there that were there for years. I was there for months, and I read the actual credit card things that they offered, and they were like, "How are you selling a credit card?" And I'm like, "Oh, do you know that if you bought like let's say an iPod and it got lost or broken, in the first 90 days when you use that credit card, they'll give you $300 towards it or whatever." There was things that people didn't even know. I was selling the benefits. People were like, "Oh, here's a credit card." I was selling the benefits of what people didn't realize the credit card provided. Oh, do you know the product that you buy here, it's an extra warranty from the credit card? Like,
that's
what?
Crazy. I have no clue. Yeah.
People didn't realize that, it also provided insurance when you rent a car. You don't even have to have your own insurance.
Wow.
The credit card will provide that insurance. So certain credit cards, so my thing is, people lack the imagination and the drive sometimes and they think, I got to sell this stupid product or whatever. I hate it. Well, if that's the case and you don't want to understand it, then leave, because you're doing you're doing that person who needs that help a disservice, and you're taking someone else's spot that probably needs that job, And
I think that's great, because I think it all falls back to what you're saying essentially, which is you providing a service for that person and customizing to that person, that customer, but you're giving them a benefit they might not realize. So let's say anyone can get a credit card. You don't even have to speak to someone to get a credit card. You can always do it online, or back in the day, probably fill out a form that came in the mail, right? But they're not realizing, like you said, the benefits. Shit, I didn't even know the benefits of the credit card that could do that.
Not all, but
that's what I'm saying. But that would never see. And I've seen this with other people, man, that I've seen it with when I watch billionaires. I've seen it when I watched, these great minds that think outside of the box. So they go against the grain. And that's brilliant that you actually, that's why you're so successful in finances or whatever you were selling, because you go outside of the box. And like you said, you break it down, but you also see, like, you're like, basically, what's good about this product? Let me see. Let me check this out. What do I like about it, or what speaks to me? But you learning the product, being put to that way, you're able to customize it when you talk to someone, because you know the product down to the damn T, and you can say, "Well, so that interested you in that? But did you know? So this that it does that for you, because you find out their needs, and then you have the answer for their needs, and you're providing that service and the benefits of that, which is crazy. But I know we got off a topic.
That's fine. Yeah.
We get with that, but so go back. I'll let you go back to answering the fact as far as the mental aspect. How did maybe you said your numbers? You were saying your numbers meeting your numbers and goals didn't mess with your mental health.
No, it was basically for certain reason I can't mention the company, but I mean there was certain stress that I was dealing with that had nothing to do with my performance, but had to do with people that I work with,
which is every day for people,
right? And also personal stuff that I was dealing with at the time, which you're aware of. So it got to the point, and I was studying for my Series 7, and I remember I was reading the book back and forth, like writing, doing a million note cards, and I would take these practice tests, and I would bomb miserably, and then I finally, a person I was dating was like, "Hey, maybe you should see a therapist because you might have ADD." And they always said I had ADD, and I was like, oh, I don't think I have ADD, you know. And I went and to meet this therapist, and I told her about the anxiety I had, and she gave me like some kind of a anxiety pill, because I said I never had anxiety because I have always been able to control my environment and remove myself from the situation.
Ah, gotcha.
And I have never allowed something to have more. Anytime that it became overwhelming, I've never allowed something to have that grasp over me. So when there were certain situations that I was dealing with that I had no control over, and it felt
that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
I had no control over. That's when anxiety kicked in, and I was like, "What? This is the craziest thing I've ever experienced." And I couldn't. So when I was studying, I had a million thoughts going in my head, and nothing was sticking. It was just words bouncing off my brain, not being absorbed. So then I met with my therapist, or at the time, the psychiatrist, and she then said, well, do you think you have ADD? And I said, no, I don't think I have ADD. And she's like, well, are you late to places at times? And I'm like, well, she's like, well, do you get ready super early and then you end up still being late? I'm like, yeah, because I get ready. I'm like, okay, I'm earlier, and I check the time on my GPS, and then by the time it's time to leave, and I'm like, oh shoot, and then I'm late. Yes, I go.
Yeah,
she's
that
like,
happens to me. Yep.
In class, and she goes, are you? There was a bunch of questions she asked, and I'm like, she's like, you might have ADD, and I remember going there, and then she gave me the Adderall, or generic one or whatever, and I tried it, and I was able to focus. And because she said, if it doesn't work, you don't have ADD. Like, if you take it, you're not able to focus, you don't have ADD, whatever. And it's just funny because I remember thinking, like, oh my God, if I had this as a child, it would have been a game over, but we'd have those tools or resources, because, see a psychiatrist, the way that it's always been kind of presented is, oh, you see a psychiatrist, you lost control of you're crazy, you've lost control of your reality, your
and
life.
Financially as well. Economically, it's financially, it's expensive to a degree.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, it's never been as
obtainable.
No, not obtainable. It has never been as acceptable.
There we go.
As it is now. I mean, now you can't turn on a television without seeing a commercial that says mental wellness. Yeah. I mean, that commercial, that one that's so funny to me is the guy that's working out, and the other guy behind him, in front of him, he goes, he turns around, he's like, hey buddy, you need help? He's like, no, my family wouldn't understand if you, and he's like, well, I can help. He's like, no, they won't let me and he has all this weight on him. And this guy's seeing he's suffering, but he's like, no, I can handle it. And then they say, mental help here, it's like one of those commercials, and it's geared towards men now, because if you look at, men commit the most suicides.
Exactly, the high suicide rate. Yeah. And that's what this podcast is more so leaning to, helping, finding ways to help. So that's why more so it's geared to, but go ahead. Didn't mean to cut you off there.
And so nowadays, so I remember seeing this psychiatrist, and at first, it's a weird experience, because you sitting on the couch, she's sitting at her desk, and she's talking to me, and she's just asking me questions, and then I'm like, oh, and you're answering, you kind of guard it a little bit, and the more you talk, then I'll see you next week, or see you 2 weeks, or whatever it was. See how the medication worked, and then you build this kind of
rapport, trust,
relationship too, right?
Yeah.
And with this person, and it's amazing. And I highly, highly recommend. I recommend having a therapist. It's because, even just if you don't think you need one, it's only because it's amazing to have some insight to be able to unload everything that you are thinking or hesitant to say or whatever, or, even, and not have anyone judge, question, react,
and that's what I was going to say.
And just listen. And it's the craziest thing, because the person, like, you think she would give advice or what have you, and she listens. And then when you want advice, you could say, hey, should I do this? And then that's when they present it. But because typically when you ask a friend, someone for advice, they go ahead and they chirp in, and then later on they want to find out, okay, and there's a lot of judgment, and you don't fully explain everything because it's, there's judgment.
So you leave a lot of things out of it when you explain it to a friend, and that's why they don't have the full scope of the picture. And they give you, in some cases, if it's a good friend, they're not. And I'll put it this way: if it's a good friend, they're probably giving you biased. And if it's a real good friend that is real good and neutral and sees both sides, then they're giving you great advice. Supposes neutral advice.
No, but here's the thing.
But I'm saying it could be. I'm saying like a good friend will be that always has your back. When I mean good, they're giving you advice that's good for you, even though it's not good for the situation. But it's good how they see it, because they might have their bias against the person or whatever. And I've never liked that person, so yeah, man, you doing it, and be the yes man to you when it's not what you really need. It's just them just looking out for themselves as well as you, because they might not like the person or whatever situation.
I mean, in some scenarios, I could see that being the case, but I think at the end of the day, I feel like sometimes when we're asking advice, or we're asking, we're getting opinion of who was right and who was wrong, we know who to ask, and we know how to ask it so that we can get, you were right.
That's true.
Yeah, screw that. Yeah, screw her.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So
that's true.
When you know what I mean? Because we need that validation. So I think when you have a third party, and you could be completely, like I said, honest, and you don't feel, and this person's not going to weigh in. Like, even if you're trying to present it in a way, they could say, well, do you think that she was meant to do this or what have you? It's just a clear, like I said, it's a very clear, fair playing field when it comes to that. And so like I said, I would highly recommend. The funny thing, I took that 2016 is when I started seeing my psychiatrist, and we meet every quarter. So I can get my Adderall or whatever, and still, 6 years later, and it's great, because she takes notes and she asks me questions that I forget that she asked, and I'm like, oh wow,
yeah, that's cool.
And like I said, it's a relationship. She's like, oh, how was Christmas? And she literally remembers and brings up everything. We have a great conversation, and then she gives me my prescriptions filled, but I highly recommend it. I never thought that 6 years later, and the fact that we talk about everything.
Yeah, gotcha. I was going to say also because it's been so misclassified in the community. So I remember just growing up in any community, when you heard ADHD, when you heard that, you were like, hell no. Because when we were growing up, I remember we would see and I think it's hypertension kids be hyper, and your parents be like, oh, they got ADHD. Your mom be like, oh, they got ADHD. You know what I mean? Because the kid, ADD, excuse me, ADD. I mean, ADD.
Please.
ADD.
Sound it out.
ADD. Okay, cool. Attention deficiency disorder. So, so when you heard that, did your mind think like, there's no way, because you had a perception of what you thought it was? Because I remember you telling me that. I'm like, no, bro, what the hell are you talking about? I can focus on one thing at one time. I'm over thinking physically, not just, your mind's doing other things while you're on a task.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, that's the whole thing where, you have that bad stigma, when it comes regarding to, like I said, mental illness. And I think that's the thing about it, is that's why words are very powerful. So hence the reason they don't say mental illness, they say mental wellness now, right? Because it's a more of a positive thing. Just like with fitness, fitness has been wellness. Get your wellness check, right? That's when they work. Now it's your mental wellness and well-being. So the thing about it, people forget, like the brain just like any other part, like your body, your limbs, is a muscle too. You know what I mean? So when there's not proper, like if somebody has diabetes and there is, they don't have, they need insulin because they're not producing it. Like people don't realize, like just like that, there's certain like protons that are not firing, and that's why you need certain supplements or what have you to help create, produce, trigger, what have you, or stimulate that.
Yeah.
So I think, like I said, now like we're in the perfect time for a man to face either depression, suicidal thoughts, and come out of it, because there's so much resources and so much emphasis that it's okay. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to fail. There's just a lot of stressors that's put on a male figure.
Yeah.
And there's no there's been no electricity, there's or room or space for it's okay, try again. It's kind of like,
yeah, well, there's a lot of people don't realize men have had to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. And I mean, traditionally, if you go back to the the caveman, when the man had to go hunt and basically provide food, that was hunt, and that was their job. So it's always been them hunting for food while the women stay and mind and take care of the kids or whatever, right? In a sense, right?
I can't speak to that. I'm going to say right now, I don't know about the caveman and who's hunting. I cannot speak to that.
This dude hilarious, yeah. But but anyway, as far as how it's been, how it's always been traditionally, right? So we aren't given the room to, have that break, like have that breaking point, have that room, like you said, to fail. And I think you have, that not many men, even myself, bro. You've always been an advocate for medical health, like seeking a doctor, seeking a physician. Hey, I've got to pull muscle. You go, like you go to Eastern or Western medicine. You go through every medicine, and most men don't, because they've told to toughen it up, let that shit go. Like they'd rather not see a doctor, which also leads to a lot of medical issues being caught late. As far as we have prostate cancer, we have things like that. You have heart disease. You have issues that are all either could be hereditary, or it could be due to stress and stuff like that. I'm not seeking help.
Well, I feel like,
so I'm thinking that should be more acceptable. I mean, not more. The modern man should seek medical on any level, whether it be health and physical.
Well,
checkups.
Well, here's the thing. They don't call it doctor, that's practicing medicine. I mean, they don't say he's practicing medicine, right? And he's a doctor. Do you ever realize that? A physician he practices medicine. Do you get that?
What do you mean?
A physician is practicing medicine.
Okay.
I'm a financial advisor. I don't practice finance. I don't practice investing. I invest.
Got you.
So keep that in mind. Like, words are very powerful. That's what it means. He's a practicing physician. Mm-hmm. He's still practicing, right? Because when it comes to modern medicine, I mean, it's basically, how do we, what's the saying? When you go to a doctor, they're not fixing the ailment. They're just kind of
masking it.
Right. It's kind of like, what I mean? Like, take this to, it's not curing it, because it's not like Eastern medicine.
Well, now it's giving you a lot of medication. Now it's,
it's always been
medicated. Yeah. Highly medication versus, yeah.
Right. So
solving the issue.
So I don't go seek professionals that way. So I'll go like holistically or certain things. But I always say, like, if I grew up in the YouTube university, which is YouTube. I mean, I could have been anything. I could have been a programmer. I could have been an NBA player, a football player, because I didn't need a personal coach or a mentor. I could just use YouTube and learn. So there's so many videos and stuff like that when you have a pain somewhere or whatever that you find out like, oh man, it's a whole chain effect. So if your hip's hurting, it's not necessarily your hip. It could be your posterior tibia that is dysfunctioning and it's causing that. Like there's so much more that you learn, and there's so much more accessibility to things that we weren't having access to before.
Absolutely,
that you realize that just taking an ibuprofen or taking a pain medicine like Vicodin just to dull the pain, that's all it's going to do, So
yeah, it's not going to get to the root of it.
Right.
It's just going to dull it for the moment.
So I highly stress not just going to see a physician because, like I said, physicians are practicing medicine. They're still practicing something.
No, absolutely. That's why I said Eastern and Western medicine.
But seek, like that old saying, seek and you shall find. Asking, you'll get answers. Always do that. But take the effort. Like that's the one thing I take time is my body. Like when it comes to it, because you only have one body, right? So if something's bothering me, whatever, I don't go just the first person or whatever. I seek out and until I find the right answer or I see it's helping, I just don't go with the first. You know what I mean?
So yeah, man, I really appreciate you taking the time, brother. If there's anything you want to leave these people with on a note, what would you leave them with in regards to mental health and finance? Because since we both covered both of them, give them a little tidbit on finance they can run with today, whether it be saving $50 a paycheck into something and growing over 10 years for young people, and leave something mental.
I would say there's no time like the present. I mean, and doesn't matter how old you are and you think that you're so behind. It all, taking that first step and that first leap is what's going to get you to whatever stage when it comes to like financial freedom. But always saying that, looking for the excuse, because that's what we do. We look for excuses why we aren't successful or why our, like Kevin Hart said, the way my bank account works, why certain things we don't have, instead of taking the accountability, say, you know what, it's my fault. I grew up this way, but I'm an adult and I had the ability to go and seek this out. So let me do that, and let me start by doing this and find out how to do this. Opening up a small brokerage account with one of those brokerage firms, Charles Schwab or what have you, or E-Trade, thank you. And put some money in there and play some trades, Apple. If there's something that you purchase that you like I always tell clients or that want to get into investment, they want to invest on their own, the Cape, that's totally, I recommend it. I don't know what to buy, and they have an Apple phone or they have Nikes on it, they have, Lululemon or what have you or something, I'm saying, well, you wear it. Do you believe in it? Yeah. Why? Because the quality, this, that, they're coming out with this. Okay. Then buy that. Don't just buy the product, own it. Own that company. And then take it to another level, find like 4 or 5 companies and follow them. And what I mean by follow them is, look for the quarterly reports, because that's when the market moves, their stocks moves when their quarterly reports come out. If they meet their goal that they mentioned from the previous quarter, it goes up. If it doesn't meet the goal, then people tend to sell it because it's going to go down, and then they buy it back when it's lower because they know it's going to eventually go up, because they know that that company's not going anywhere. So do your homework. And then once you get to a certain skill set, then advance, look into options or whatever. But start off small, but start. That's the key. Start saving, put money away. Practice that, being disciplined. Here's the thing. Seek, like I said, there's books, there's programs, there's advisors at your banks. They're there, pick their brain. And trust me, not all advice is good advice. Not all business is good business. So make sure that the person that you're getting your information from, question them. I mean, question the hell out of them. Don't take just one answer. Like really have them explain something. And I always say this, my favorite quote is from Albert Einstein. It says, he says, if you're an expert in something, you should be able to explain it in the simplest form, like to a fifth grader, what have you. And if you can't, then you don't understand it yourself. So if someone cannot explain you what they're an expert in, then they don't understand it themselves. And then you should know that, okay, it's on to the next person. Interview these people. Don't let these people just give you advice or invest your money. Interview them. It's because it's your money. And if they lose it, nothing happens to them and they're not affected. So do your homework.
Okay. And what would you say for the mental health?
My advice for mental health is we all go through things and everyone attacks it or receives it in a different way. And just know that when you're down, it's only temporary, and your dark days will not always be dark, and it's not always going to, it's not always going to be a cloudy, rainy day. And if you feel that you can't get out of a funk or what have you by yourself, by all means, seek help, seek therapy. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. And it's probably going to be one of the best things you've ever done. And it's something that, just like working out, you know what I mean? Just like working out and you have back pains and you have strength in your back, it's just strengthening your mental fortitude to deal with daily certain stressors that you weren't equipped to deal with when you were a child, because we weren't conditioned. Maybe your parents they didn't deal with it, so you took on how they dealt with certain things, and you've subconsciously inherited certain behaviors. So the mind is a beautiful thing, and without proper guidance, it could also be a very dangerous thing. So, and I'm not a therapist or a psychiatrist, but definitely recommend seeking that kind of advice.
And on that note, thank you again, brother, for being on the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you love what you're hearing, please subscribe, leave us a review on Google, on Apple, and share the hell out of this podcast.
Yep, no problem, man. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate it.
And on that note, guys, we out.